Alright, this is a notebook that I bought. Explain things the easy way. How to start a trade school business. Advancing beginners. Sam Marinko. The Beginner's Guide, Volume Number One. Start a trade school business by Sam Marinko. Copyright Sam Marinko 2014. Published by Sam Marinko Publishing. Alright, you can browse, preview thousands of each book, catch up the latest industry news dailies, enjoy the latest magazines and design. Table of contents. What is a trade school business? Finding out more about trade school businesses. Type of service product traded schools provide with the provides your customer and client service with the products of the trade school businesses. 3. Doing market research and setting up a trade school business. Accessing the right audience. Finding the desired target market for a trade school business. Setting up the right plan to move forward in building a trade school business. 5. Putting together a business plan for the trade school business. Setting up the right plan to move forward with the building of the trade school business. Um, 3. Ensuring your employees have necessary safety training, the getting of the team yourself prepared. 4. Getting the appropriate licenses, permits you'll need to run for the trade school business. Licensing and AMP permits to run with the trade school business. 5. Finding a location of the trade school business and choosing the right location can help a lot. 6. Purchasing necessary stock, tools, and equipment to begin with the operation of the trade school business. Tools and stock, AMP equipment. 7. Determine how you will fund your trade school business, providing your trade school business with the necessary capital. 8. Establishing marketing budget to kick start your trade school business, getting your exposure to trade school business. 3. Building an only presence of your trade school business, creating the website with the trades, creating a website for your trade school business school. 4. Showcasing your product services to potential customers and clients. Design catalog brochure to expand reach of your product and services. 5. Some of the final conclusions. Some of the final words you should be ready for proceed further. Alright, what is a trade school business? A vocational trade school with a degree school is a school provided with a vocational education school. Students taught with the skills needed to perform a particular job. Traditionally, vocational schools have not existed to further education in the area of liberal arts, but rather than teach on the job only job-specific skills, such as having been better with the considered to be institutions devoted to training non-liberal arts education, purely vocational focus, beginning with the changing of the 1990s toward a broader preparation for the development of develops the academic and technical skills of students as well as the vocation. Type of services, products, and trade school business is provided your customer and clients with services, products, and trade school business. Now that you are familiar with what a trade school business does, it's very important that you understand the services and products provided with the trade school business. Offering your clients or customer better service and products that will lead you the right direction, making the success and being well sought after trade school business. Here is the list of services, products associated with trade school business and education. Doing market research around the setting up of the trade school business. When making up the kind of the determination, you need to keep several things in mind. First, you need to find out what their need for the product and services you wish to sell and who would be interested in what to have to offer with the new trade schools business starting out. Say, for example, you want to start a trade school business in the area where there are already few established similar businesses offering the same products and services. There may not be need for you. That doesn't mean you cannot create a different kind of need. You could start a trade school business, but it would be geared and providing the services and products in a niche audience. Not many similar businesses devote themselves to offering certain products or services dedicated to specific audiences. You may find yourself in a niche where you can succeed and thrive. The competition should be a key factor for determining whether you should open your trade school business or not. If the market is already flooded with a business that will directly competing against you, then you want to consider the business as you are fixed on getting into. As also, you need to consider the available resources in your midst which can assist you in helping the trade or school's business services that will be considered whether the products you wish to sell or services you will intend to provide are costly effective to be able to sell. Example 1, if there are not enough adequate supplier chains to provide you with where you're looking to sell, then you need to look at another product. There's no point of being an admittant. They're only going to sell certain kind of products. There's not a demand for it. There's no point of trying to sell a product or service that you are not able to provide. There are things you need to think about with starting your business before you make the final decision in starting the trade school business. You will need to do some research, find out what kind of similar businesses exists locally. Example two: there may be grocery stores where you live. That did not mean does not mean that you could not open a fruit store. This is the need. There is a need for fruit. Many people do not like fruit sold in the stores. This is why the farmers market go to the farmers market to get their fruit. If you created such a store, you may succeed because there's a need and desire for the public. Example three: the owner of Trader B is going into opening the store where he will sell open only expired food items like canned fruit, vegetables, also as much as a decreased price. He has discovered that over $10 billion worth of food is thrown away each year with the grocery store because of the expiration date on the can and container has been reached. To be honest, there is no standard on the company of the can set the expiration date because it has expenditure does not mean it's perfectly edible and good to eat. You may buy milk and sells it within a month. It would go past the expiration date. Often milk is perfectly fine. Often milk is perfectly fine to drink maybe 2 months later, but a week later is no big deal. Who will be willing to buy milk that is expired if it only the cost of costs you $1 a gallon? I bet the answer is yes. That there is a trade B and is betting on because I'm seeing that there's no need, even if no thought there was one. People need the product. Services sometimes come affordable to get what they want. Not every trade school business can often offer everything to a customer once while taking two concepts and offer services, products, discounted price. This kind of business is idea that may work with the thought which can be applied many of the ways which should be considered in order to succeed the starting of the trade school and a business. Alright, finding the desired target market for the school and business. Setting up the right plan to move forward with building a trade school business. Finding your target market is very important in all walks of life. The target market is considered something that the trade business needs to identify and market its product service to. Before starting out, you should identify who your target market is below. For example, the target market with a gear toward the trade school business. Students in an easy way to go about doing and talking to others. You may have an idea of thinking about what your target products and services is, but you must also have the tunnel vision. Do not be deterred from getting ideas from your friends and asking others or even strangers. Instead, do some research, go to the library, find out more about what's going to be done, what you're going to be doing. To find some of the trade magazines, industrial journals, maybe about your specific interests, but try to research a setup. With another good way to research the target market of the trade school business is use the internet, search of the forums of the group relating to the type of the products and services intended to be providing. See if there is a kind of interest already out there, for it might be able to tell you what you should focus on. Become familiar with the terms and demographic, psychographic. You will need to understand who and where your target market is and what drives them. Learning exactly the demographic, or at least what you assume to be, basic things to research are if they use or require trade school business, industrial customers and clients is within where they based on the country and state and etc. Alright, putting together a business plan for the trade school business. Setting up the right plan for the move forward with the business, building a trade school business. The next thing you want to do is to put together the business plan on how your operation will operate. The business plan contains the three important ingredients. The set of the goals of the trade school business for your plan. The reason for the goals are attainable when the plan for the reaching these goals. For the first one of these set goals for the trade school business, for most of it, if not at all, you must decide not only what it needs to make your trade school business viable to all to be, but also with the trade school business must earn to make it worth it to you to invent and start it. Let's say, example, you decide with the goal you must reach for the trade school business in the first year of $500,000. Which may be a good goal, for the total cost of the running of the trade school business is only $450,000. This leaves $50,000 profit for you. But if you have the same goal of $500,000, the trade school business costs up to $4,990. $499,000 to that only the $1,000 left over for you. This is not as much income to live off of. We're likely not to succeed clearly in setting up the business goals. You must take the time to see what the costs are and they incur during the goal period. Set goals to attain the need revenue, which also leave yourself the room to handle the events that may arise. You will have to consider the issue of the cost of the product items, utility costs, insurance costs, employee salaries, hours of operation, local business costs of the purchase of land and business area in the area, the building costs, the permits, advisory, advertising. Just to start, once you have determined these kinds of the costs, then you can start setting up the goals on what you will take to make yourself viable business. It's clear the more thorough that you can be establishing your cost, the more likely you are succeed. The number one reason that the business failed to become they did not consider that they would take up the business to succeed. They may fail to include the cost of the inspection, inflation, snow removal, the insurance, then find themselves unable to sustain the cost recovery. They do not have the revenue to overcome these. The second part of the business plan determines that the goal of the attainable. If you set the goal to reach $1 million for the trade school business by the end of the first year, you the better have the good set of the reasons why you truly believe that you can reach this goal. You better have the clear concise facts is willing to happen. It should be stated that they need no need. There is no need to clear the reason why the trade school business will succeed. What I mean, is simply because the people do not need something you does not need mean that they coming to you. I consider what you see on the show on Shark Tank as an example. If you have not watched the show before, these are entrepreneurs who come on the show that ask the sharks to make the investment in the company percentage ownership of this UK TV show Dragon's Den. Often these men and women will be asked for the shark with which they think of their business will succeed. At least once a show, someone will be saying following thing. There's $1 billion spent on this type of the product each year. If he goes 1%, I just get 1% of the business, I will make $10 million. This is the reason why I succeed, and simply because they have something that people want. This is not how it works. And it is like companies that build the website, they fail to into the old field of dreams. Reason for if you build the website, they will come. No, they don't. You may a convenient choice, but it does not mean that they will come to your store. You must begin with avoiding the trap of this kind of reason. Instead, you must focus on the balanced supply of why your trade school business can reach some of the goals. For example, if your trade school business is joining in the banking with a $500,000 a year profit, then the valid premises conclude that likely to reach it. If you're only a owner, if you own a car dealership, you may say that the goal is attainable because there's no other Ford dealership with a 15-mile radius from you, and 40% of the people who live in the area drive with Ford vehicles. This relatively process justification for why you may succeed. You must say that the goal is attainable because the only bakery in the area that offers classes how to make the specialty cakes and pies. You may say that you will succeed, but you are only the cooking store with the office of specialty of the baking pans, likely carton characters in old shape. This thing can help you to support the idea with the which of the reach of the goal. Your goal, the more kinds of justifications you have to supporting your reaching the goal, the better you should feel for attaining the goal. The last step is in this place of how you will reach your goals. One of the most important part of this is the marketing part, the marketing plan. The marketing plan and business overall plan have to operate with successful lure the customers to their doorstep, how to keep them once that they are. In a nutshell, there is a company plan for how they go to the win the customers. Once the most costly part of the business is referred to as the customer acquisition cost. That would cost you one of the customers to come in your store. The objective of the obvious would have the cost as low possible. The more of the spending to gain the customer, the worse of your goal. Worse your goal achievement will get this. So how do you win with the customer? There will be this is where your marketing plan comes into play. In this plan, the strategies will employ to get awareness around the trade school business, advertising, sales offers are some of the means that they can use. They also cost the money wherever they front end is to let the customers know about your trade school business. On the back end, discounts that reduce your profits. All of them are necessary to get customers through the door. And in developing the strategy, you have to justify yourself to keep the yourself what kinds of things of the customer to your business while you're appealing, and how far in area do you want to try to keep the people reach the people when at the right time to send out the advertisement. For example, if you had sent out the advertisement through the newspaper a weekend that most people are out of town, like Labor Day, you may be wasting your time. Some businesses in our locations easy to see them, or they are near lots of other frequent visited stores, or so they are easily attracted customers. Some send ads through the paper, some with the signs throughout the area to tell their sales. Some send coupons through the coupon flyers and mailers. It's because a question of the works with what your marketing plan must specify. One, you have the customer, your marketing plan, that must have to explain how you will keep the customers. Two of the most common methods used today with the rewards program, email list. Many of the business offer the loyalty rewards to their customers for the continued business with them. You make it so that customers spend more than $100 and with your business get an item worth of $10. Second way to help retain customers customers through mail or email campaigns. Frequently with businesses nowadays they ask for the email address so that they can send you information on the email address. It's one of the lowest cost methods the business can use to reach the help retain with the customers. Truthfully, an email costs nothing to send. So if you send information frequently to the customers, letting them know that your services and products have spent nothing to get back in them through the gates of your business. Marketing in this way can be a great help to employ the part of the customer retention program. As part of the marketing, you will need to develop the website for a trademark trade school business. A good website can let the customers know how to find you, what products and services you have, as well as how you to sell the products right whether they're on their website. The kind of website you will build depending upon whether you want to sell it directly from your site or not. If this is many of the things that you will need to consider for the building of your trade school business. So let's spend some time looking for the first of the you need for the registered domain name of your trade school business. The domain name is named with someone who and this domain name that someone would type in if they go to the website. Example: if the jewelry store with your business name is American Jewelers, then you can try to get AmericanJewelers.com. The reason I say try is because if they make the case that you will try to get the domain name is already taken. This means that you may have chosen a different name for the website domain. Like if your store is Atlanta, you may choose the American Jewelers Atlanta.com. Choose the different endings for to do the website. Like American Jewelers Net, the perfectly acceptable get the net org. It becomes the ticket that your domain name must be understand. Someone that does not realize that you are net instead of the .com, they may go to the American Jewelers instead of the yours, and the selecting the domain. Keep it in mind that you want to select the name of your domain. Make sure that it's easy to type for the user. If the company name of the American Jewelry Store of the Greater Midwest, you will not have the trouble finding the domain to register. This is one of the there's a 100% possibility that you could easily buy the American Jewelry Store over the Great Midwest without any problem at all. The problem with the name is very few users going to type all that into the address bar of their browser. If they do misspell it anyway, they are going to be sent without from somewhere other than your site. Simply do not get a good domain name you can fix. This by using initials such as AJSOTM.com, shortening of the company name of the website with American Craft Store or the American Jewelers Midwest. The easier name for the user to enter without error. Just a brief note: the capitalization has been added to the domain name just because of the purpose of showing how to process, show the work. The internal internet capitalization does not matter. One, entering the domain name and address bar, putting the American Jewelry Store and the American Jewelry Store and .com will both read the same with the browser. Once you have the register of the domain name, the next thing to do is to find the company that will host your website. There are many companies out there that provide this service. Many of them are quite reasonable in their costs. This is just a matter of looking for someone who meets it. You need them provides what you are looking for. Some of the web hosting companies provide the free plugins that you can showcase your products and services. Some provide unlimited email addresses that can be created through your domain. Many of them offer free straight stats that will show many of the people that come to your come to your site what page they're looking at, whether their visitors are coming from. Knowing this kind of information can help you with the marketing strategy. What I also talked about with earlier in this book. Once you have selected the web hosting company, the next step is to actually build the site. What kind of site over the build can have many of the options you may decide that people can see the product and services online that they can they have to call with the actual purchase them. Not all customers will like that they can't order directly online, but you can still use this option. You want to allow customers to place an order online. This would mean that they would need to have the referred to e-commerce where the customer can order products and services paid directly on the site, and web hosting companies provide e-commerce sites as part of their services, but their car is kind of their car is kind of one of the size fits everything, everyone approach. So what they offer may not fit with the other business needs. This means that you will need to create your own e-commerce site. Ensuring that your employees have the necessary safety training. Depending on the size of the trade school business, you may need to hire employees to assist with the daily activities of your business. Some employees may come with incredible qualification. This is what you should be looking for, but there's more critical circumstances whether you have to provide with a great deal of training. The new employees require that you either do training yourself or to find the organization that will provide training for the employees. Employees will need to have the ability to engineer survey for the control utility services, such as shutting off the water and gas mains and handling medical emergencies, how to notify local local emergency services to aid your employees will be needing from them. There are all highly specialized tasks that require a great deal of the training of the education to ensure the employee can successfully perform all the tasks you can afford. Should not be willing to take any risk with the training of your employees. You need to be the best. They should be the best. Should want the best. It requires making sure that they know that they are doing training of the nature can be an experience, but they are in place where they can find the quality of the training virtually no cost to yourself, with your business organization, such as the Occupational Safety Health Administration or OSHA, should provide free seminars online. The training to start and assist local businesses providing with a quality education. Train the employees. You can visit your website or call the local OSHA office to find out when they are offering such a class. If they cannot wait for the class, if you cannot wait for the class to be offered, you may have to look for the fine colleges, companies for the other such training to assist your employees. This may cost the trade school business some of the money, but you can honestly afford but you honestly cannot afford to have the not to have properly trained employees. You could go out and hire employees that are already trained, but this removes all the concern that you may have to trying to get the proper training for them. Considering that they will already been trained, however, the well-trained, the seasoned employees will also mean that you have to pay higher salaries, compensation for the work for you. Because they are well-trained, you may be sure that they will want to compensate for the education expertise that they have. In simple manner, determining what they can afford to do better do before you selected for the kind of employee, making much like of the purchase of the equipment. You would have the thought of this with the part of the business plan would have to determine already which option works best for you. Alright, getting the appropriate license and permits you need to run a trade school business. The next thing you will need to do is find out what kind of permits and licenses you need to operate the trade school business as a country. As each country and city have different regulations, usually number the one killer business, one of the killer of the business. If you have not dotted with all the I's and the cross with all the T's, first thing you will need to do is go to the Internal Revenue site within the site with your state revenue with the department to get yourself a tax identification number that can be referred to as DWP, VAT, or corporation tax in the UK. The number of where you will also pay the tax for the trade school business. Submit your sales tax amount. Once you have done that, the next step is to find out what kinds of permits and licenses you need to operate your trade school business. If there are any there to do this, would be consult with the services of the lawyer. One misform, and your business could have been having to find every state and city with the company with a different law of the ordinances, depending upon what kind of business you want to start. You'll need some of the legal help to ensure. Some legal help to ensure that you acquire the right kind of permit to even operate with the example A, store that sell with alcohol would need to permit the different than someone starting with a lawn care operation, yet both of the needs of the licenses. Some cities and counties demand special permits depending on what services you can offer. For example, the restaurants have the special permits to serve your food. The learning center has a special license needed to teach children. The laundromat has permit needed to have the industrial washer for the dryer. Lawyers can help with the find the proper formats, help you fill without correctly. To obtain permits, you need to be in operation. Some cities have created a law intended to protect. Alright, already existing businesses. This means that opening your trade school business, you may need to get permission from other than the business and in the area to even start your own. If you want to start a business where you would be selling paints or other artwork, that you have to ask for the permission for the gallery stores like yours to be in their competition. How likely are you going to be able to permit? Do you think this is why you need to look into the needs for permit? In addition, you need to be aware of if you're starting the trade school business, there may be a safety requirement that you are obligated to follow. Example, the bakery must have the sprinkler system fire there must be an evacuation plan displayed with a large number of the customer shop. You may need a gas shutoff valve if you use the clean and the finished spots for the pots of the made with the store. All of these must have been prior to the opening of the business. And here's a list of known licenses, permits that are usually required before you can start your own trade school business. Trade school permits from the state body. Alright, finding a location of your trade school business. Choosing the right location can help a lot. Next, you will need to find a location for the trade school business. You may decide that simply going to run a web-based trade school business that you can do without of your basement. That you do not need any office shop at the store. Some of the room in your home. Put your supplies there and build yourself with a great website and let the good times roll. Locations usually work with a trade school business, commercial industries. You may decide you want to sell your products and services throughout the outlet for the consignment basis. You may have the products to sell instead of opening your own the business. You may conclude that you are going to serve several businesses around town, and getting the partner with your commission basis. All you ask is the place for the display your information relating to your trade school business offer that you will give lively compensate them. This can work. You may even decide that you're going to open a physical premises for this credit before you take the step. There are many things to consider. First thing, you need to determine the amount of the space that you will need. The amount of space you will need depending upon the different type of the products and services you will be providing the staff, and you will be located on the site. And choose for the amount of space needed, but not only the need for the consider, but where the how you will allocate space. An example, if you're choosing the store, but you will need to fit room fitting the rooms. The craft store may offer the classes, so you need the classroom. Bakery may also have a small set of tables for the customers to sit at. There are just a few examples of things you need to consider to meet the spacing and the needs of you. First thing, you should be centered on whether you want to buy or the rent of the space for the trade or school business. The clearly advantages of both. There are disadvantages of owning your own space with the need for that you can do space do with that with the space pretty with a bunch with what you want. You can have your own your trade school business look at the way you finish with the paint in any way you'd like to tear down the wall or two if you see fit. It also means you're responsible for all the costs related to the property. This includes the property tax and all the costs. Something that is damaged, the renting of the water heater breaks. Rental agency is usually responsible for this. However, the own property responsibility, all the maintenance is incurred, but they must also have the insurance to pay for the damage that may occur in the building, whether the fault or not. But if you rent, they must abide by the agreement and having established with the rental agency, which may limit how you can use your space. But you also have some market advantages making the choice. First of all, if you're concerned with the business may not make it, you may want some wiggle room. Then having a lease on may only lock you into property for a year. And the trade school business is not working, just not working at the location. It gives the opportunity to close up shop without being stuck with the property you can afford to pay for. You can't afford to pay for. Secondly, renting diminishes some of the costs that you would incur with your own building, like a comprehensive insurance, costs related to maintenance, the replacement of the rental agencies may have to pay the broken toilet, the leaky pipe, not you. No matter which choice to make, and ensure that they are clear agreement to determine the rights, especially with the intending for the lease for the rent property you're putting your trade school business on. They may not allow you specific kinds of the products and services that alter the building, and they may limit the amount of customers you have that can have only property, and all these kinds of things are as items. You need to review any rental agreements to ensure that they are not liable to the company for the breaking of the agreement. Oftentimes, the rental agreements have stiff penalties for one of the outlining terms. Some be proactive to check this out. And they may require you to seek out lawyers who could assist with the reviewing of the agreement. The commercial property you are renting of the rental agreement may be 30 to 100 pages of length. There's probably all kinds of language included that may be confusing. Some of the hiring, some of the can decipher the document thoroughly for you without worthwhile to you. Purchasing a necessary stock of tools and equipment, beginning with the operation of the trade school business. Once you've found the location, the next step will be to get the equipment and stock of the tools you need. With acquiring the initial items that can be very costly, expensive. With a list of tools and equipment that are usually required when starting the trade school business. School space, teachers, projectors, lab equipment. Usually wise to start low end of the to avoid ending up with the running out of the vital capital is to keep the trade school business afloat before you will see the positive results coming in. And if you are starting on the larger side, you have to account for what you will need. It will be very wise to lease the equipment and tools to find out if the supplier can provide you with up to 30-day credit operation. This will allow you to spread the money with available over the other section of the trade school business, and they may also need to be funded. Determine how you will fund the trade school business, providing with the trade school business with the necessary capital to develop a really good business plan. The next step of the should be go for the most smooth structure of the trade school business. Unless you are independently wealthy, you will need to approach the financial institution investor group of the group of investors obtaining the funding to get your operation going. Financial institutions want to know exactly what you will use your money, and also want to know with a good risk of the money that you are able to provide with the documentation, provide that you are in a good risk that you thoroughly thought that you plan out and will help to obtain the loan. You may not always get a loan from the bank if you have a detailed plan. You may will not get one if you do not. You may decide to approach a group of investors, single investors, ask them for the fund for the trade school business. One of the difference between using investors versus the bank comes down to the three key points. The first, the investors are not really concerned with your credit score with the banks, and are the investors want to know whether you have a good idea and if you are the right person to deliver on the idea. Banks want to know if you have the proven history of a successful business transaction. Secondly, investigators may want to say what happens to operation they have invested money, may feel that they give the right to speak of their mind and even the demand change for the trade school business, depending upon what they think. A bank just wants their money as long as you make your monthly payment. They could care less about what you run, how you run your operation. They're not going to demand change for the longer the check comes into them. Lastly, frequently investors are willing to receive the money on the back end of an agreement with all the banks are up to what up front. Let's explain more. If you borrow $10,000 from an investor, you set with the terms you will get back 25% of the return of the investment. They will become willing to take $12,500 return by the end of the 2 and 3 and even in 5-year period. But they give them a cushion to pay them back, and the bank on the other hand wants to check each month. They're not going to wait 2 years to get their payment. They want at the end of the month, and the next, and so on. Usually, have to pay a bigger return with the investors. You do the bank. You have the option to pay down the road, inquiring to the capital you need to run with your trade school business. You also need to consider if you need additional money with your stock or inventory, depending upon when you are selling, how much you are selling, and help with you figure out how much you need to get the inventory need for your business. There's an option to have your own inventory. Should you be aware of it, there are some products you can sell that do not actually physically take hold of the property of itself. This is called drop shipping. The drop shipping business is you're selling a product to the customer. The manufacturer is complete with the responsibility for the inventory shipping of the item to the customer. You simply with the customer to buy, take the payment later, and you send the agreed payment amount with the manufacturer and keep the rest of it yourself. A number of years ago, there was a great income tax program that did this. They hired people to sell their program. The distributors most sold it on its web. Commercials brought the program, and the distributors similarly sent the invoice of the company, then they shipped them to them. The company wanted $200 for each of the program. Most of the distributors sold it for $4.99. That meant they all made $299 profits for each of the program they sold. And all they had to do was create a website and drive people to the site. Sounds great, doesn't it? Well, it is, but doesn't it? Well, it is, but you understand that they're not product services. They can be sold away. Not every business will want to keep the inventory because this is not a sale to them. If they buy the product to sell, then the product made money. You bought it, even reduce the price for the addition. They may want you to hold the inventory. Better for you to inquire the inventory cost to them. Then. Or establishing a market for the kickstart of the trade school business, gaining the exposure to the trade school business. You will have to give adequate emphasis for the design website for your trade school business, for the attractive, appealing website, increasing the attention for the visitors, influencing them with the read of the content. Consequently, they have given directly to the main website, the different way through which they can design a website for your trade school business. However, respectively with the nature of the design, make sure that the complement for the nature of the product and services that are trying to promote, making you for the WordPress a newbie one of the easiest and fastest way of the designing and setting up the website of your trade school businesses to make it the WordPress. You can find WordPress on the internet on installing of the plugins for your server. You will also follow some of the easily and simple steps in order to give you your website readily and up for the running. You will find a readily designed templates. You can select any of the templates based on the requirements of your website. In addition with that, of the good thing, they can accept the host for the benefits of the enhanced online revenue. Some of the benefits are as follows. Once you have the website with a good theme, it will be easy to manage for the entire website. With a good theme, with a search engine friendly, due to the voice can expect with the attraction attention, large number of the customers. A proper rating system integrated with the good thing will save the implementation of the standalone website. As a result is in saving extra time in the finding of the rating of the separately with the click and slider, that can also be found with a good thing, making your website attractive, even for visitors to get access to certain sections of your website. You wish to promote a good thing, but it should also be able to review the system, and so it finds easily quick to turn the visitor of the buyer with your service, the product, make your website look professional. You should also aim making your website look professional. This will appeal with a great number of people. One of the best ways throughout that you can make the website look professional is to make use of a plugin. You can also easily install the plugin on your WordPress website. Consequently, your links will likely go. Your links will look good. That will make your visitors click to link to the visit target website. Building an online presence for your trade school business. Creating a website for the trade school business. If you plan to sell and offer a wide variety of products and services, it's usually a good idea to create a catalog brochure. Show your products and services with the trade school that can provide. This gives the customers the ability to find what the services of the product but needs simply with a skimming through the page of the catalog with a brochure. If you have created with a good trade school with a website, it should be easy to do. You simply take the design to your website and apply with the published catalog with the brochure. Your site should have the images, cost, and description of the product and services. You may not wonder if the catalog is necessary if you have the website and doing so. And the same thing, the answer is simply not for everyone with the use of the website. And not every situation conducive to the using the computer. As shocking as it is to hear, not everyone uses the computer to find what they are looking for. Are you going to give the potential customer simply because they do not access to locate your product? In addition, they may have the customer you might find to be any other different environments, cafes, bars, salons, getting their hair done, but they all have all kinds of time to kill. They may not have the access to the internet. They could read a magazine, look through the catalog, which great with the ways that help people pass the time. Having to shop through the catalog, you want to give the customers the opportunity to search your products and services on their terms when it comes convenient for them, and catalogs help you accomplish this. Or showing your products and services potential with the customers and clients. Design catalog brochure that expand your research of the product and services. If you plan to sell with a wide variety of products and services, it's usually a good idea to create a catalog and brochure to showcase your products and services that your trade school business can provide. To give the customers the ability to find whether your services and products that need skimming through the page of the catalog brochure. If you have created a good trade school business website, then you should be very easy to do so. Very simply to take the design of your website and apply with the published catalog brochure. Your site should have an image of the cost of the description, products, and services. You may wonder the catalog if necessary. You have the website, but it does something the same thing. The answer is simply not everyone uses the not everyone uses the web, and not every situation is conducted using the computer. As shocking as it is here, not everyone over the computer to find what they are looking for. Are you going to give up the potential customers simply because they do not have access to locate the products? In addition, they may have the customers you may find might find in other different environments, cafes, bars, magazines. They may not have access to the internet. They could read magazines of the catalog's great path for them to shop through the catalog. You have to give the customers opportunity to search for the product and services on their terms whenever it's convenient for them, and the catalog helps you accomplish this. Conclusion. Some of the final words you should be ready to proceed further. While starting with a trade school business, you should not jump into the conclusion that will give the great financial freedom within the short time. You must know the truth and reality behind the concept and go for it. And generally, with the great, with the make of the money, but if you need to deal with the patience like any other business, with the required hard work, dedication, determination to be successful, applicable in the case for this starting with the trade school business as well. There's no reason to lose hope if you're not successful with the first attempt. Do not forget the combination of the time and the knowledge and effort that help you to get along successfully. A trade school business is something that you can start with you even while you're associated with something else. You're not You're not answerable to anyone, and you can carry out the marketing efforts with convenience, comfort for the coming into the end. But you should know they have a good idea how to start the trade school business. If this interests you, if this interests you, then the time to take the necessary steps to make it the reality. You do this by applying yourself and committing yourself to your own success. All right, this was how to start a trade school business, and it kind of was very beginner.